bunch of them. Perplexity, what's the one that Microsoft has? Copilot, Grok, the Twitter one, Elon Musk's one. Very similar concept. Whatever your preference is, really, this isn't going to change. The concept is the same. You're going to them. The language models they're borrowing, which is what they're using to put things together, are going to be relatively the same. But if you really want to deep dive, you can do variation tests in each one. We're going to stick with chatbot because, again, I think that's the most prevalent, most people are familiar with. Simple interface we're starting off with. But I do want to, before we go into actually walking through it, I want to kind of talk about what is it you're trying to actually do with this? Because I know a lot of people, like, cool, let's go out there and figure out how we show up in search, and figure out how this is the new thing. How does AI find us in search? Because that's how a lot of people are searching these day and age. They'll go to chatbot first instead of Google because there is that regurgitative, like sometimes you don't get the right answer and you click, and everyone's competing on Google. We got to also know this. You get a lot of search ads, you get a lot of that stuff. When you go to chatbot, you're not getting ads yet. We'll see how long that lasts, the inevitability of that sort of stuff. But I want to talk about macro level of what you're trying to do. So hopefully you take this. So think about this the entire time we're going through this. What we're starting at with the absolute high level of this is what you're trying to do. It's all just about SEO. It's just search engine optimization. Now, chatbot is a search engine, so to speak. Let's think about it that way, because all it's really doing is utilizing the same things that Google and Bing and all those search engines have been using forever. So you're really you now have a tool that is going to make it easier for you to manage and give you more feedback than, say, having to go directly to a larger marketing company or spend $1 million on SEOing every one of your platforms. The thing, it's a blessing and the opposite of the blessing, in that it goes and searches a lot of things. So like when you're doing Google, it does have a lot of records out there available on keywords, how you're showing up. And that's what we're going to be talking about. How you're showing up on the internet is based on your keywords, okay? This is very important to understand. What your brand is associated with. Real estate agent 2025, Summerlin real estate agent, Henderson real estate agent. If those words aren't combined with your name, how does anyone know that that's what you do? Okay, so if you don't show up and hit the keywords for your brand, what you want to link, luxury, okay? I want to be a first-time home buyer. I want to crush it in, Summerlin. You have to have that keyword always where you are, wherever you show up, your website, every platform you have available to you. That keyword needs to be associated. So we're going to be taking a note. One of the first things we're going to be doing through is we're going to be writing down all these things you want to keep. You're going to do this as homework. Everything you want to have with your brand associated with. Don't try to hit everything, because that's going to be a bad idea. You don't want to be everything, but you do want to make sure that you are showing up with real estate agent, the current year. You're trying to hit some of the neighborhoods, the topics you want to do, and that's where the location and the brand keywords comes in, okay? So you need to focus down on the things that you want to be searchable for, okay? Because people will often be like, cool, SEO me so I show up. Well, what do you want to show up for? You can show up for anything. I could put, realtor who sells in Phoenix, and you're not going to ever show up in Las Vegas because you're showing up in Phoenix because you put Phoenix next to everything. So this is the main thing. This is a worksheet that I'm going to be giving out at the end, so you don't have to read all this, and I'm not reading this right now. But the point is that this will cover through this. I'm going to give it as an email at the end of it. I have a couple of other pieces of information that I can send out as well. But that's the main thing you need to be thinking about. Cool. What are my branded keywords, and what are my location keywords that I want to rank for? Those you need to make a list of. That's going to be a huge part. And then you're going to focus on all the places you have access to. So when we go ahead, our next step here is going to be the audit. We're going to take this little piece of text, which is the piece that was the same as Tom Ferry's in there. It's good as any. You can do any variation of this, however in depth you want to do it. You can extend this point to, I also want sources. I want you to do this. You can make it a million times. There's a million ways to skin this cat. But what I want you to think about while we're doing is focusing on these pieces here, because anything that you're going to be changing and SEOing, you have to have control of, right? That's the first place you can work on. There's a million places online that you have no control of. You can't go in there and change the text. Don't worry about those right away. That's your second advanced, more later thing. This right now, you're going to start off your website, okay? You're going to be doing your website. That's a super easy one to go. Make sure all those keywords are showing up there. That also has a combination with some of this, which is an advanced topic we'll talk about a little bit at the end. Your online accounts, anywhere, Zillows, Redfins, Agent Finder, there's a million of them, and I have a list. This is a template that I'm going to be giving out to you, a number of things that you guys can easily just go through. It's a checkbox, and it's making that. Why is it making the top so big? Okay, you get the gist. It has a list of pieces here that you can go through and easily just go, hey, do I have an account? If I don't, maybe I should make one, and I should just drop those keywords and that information in there, okay? So I'm kind of getting ahead a little bit, but what I'm trying to do is get you prepped for what we're doing, because again, people will use the AI and they'll be like, cool AI, what do I do? And not even think about what they're doing. Taking your keywords and you're implementing them and getting them associated with all these things. Because when it tells you, when you do an audit on yourself, it's gonna be like, cool, you're missing these. You already know what you're doing. You go, cool, it's telling me where I'm really missing. I need to go to those places and I need to fill them in. So social media, that's a huge one. You guys, obviously, we've been saying that forever. You need to be doing social media because it's just as valuable to AI as a website is to search nowadays, because it does look at them. It will scrub through profiles to make sure that you have a YouTube. It will check Facebook. It will check Instagram to see if you have any of those platforms. And it can even transcribe videos these days. So this is an important piece as well. I know people usually hate this, but you don't have to go all the way. You just have to do a little bit. AI integration is a piece that we're also seeing more often when it comes to search ability in AI, in that it will rank people kind of higher, like Google will as well, who are taking advantage of those tools because they're finding that those tools are useful for their users. So if you are, incorporating them, this is a little bit more advanced, but if you are incorporating them, it can be beneficial having an AI bot on your website to respond to people immediately, because it's about hitting the people with information, giving them value as soon as possible. And that's where those things can do. You can have a voice AI agent that picks up the phone every time. You never miss a call, and it can take the message. I mean, it's basically an answering machine, but it will take the message for you, and Google will rank you higher because it goes, cool, you picked up the phone immediately. It doesn't see what it was, it just sees that you picked up the phone. Blogs, this is the cliche one we've all seen. SEO, right? This is another thing that you're going to be talking about. SEO, the normal stuff that everyone's talked about. It's making content that you can also rank for. No different. Those same keywords and searches, the brand keywords and location keywords, are the things that they've been telling you forever to put into these. They go, oh, you want to make a blog? Cool, search for what those are. It's the same list you already made. You already made the list. You know what you want to go look for. And I'm going to show you some places where we can find some better stuff. But and then this schema markup, this is the more difficult part. You guys probably aren't going to want to do any of it, but this is a part that is like a service that you may want to look into once you get more advanced and you've filled out a lot of these other pieces. These are the low-hanging fruit. These are just the things that you can do every day that don't incorporate necessarily going to a local publication and trying to get some press there, or trying to get collaboration with other brands and expand there. That's another way you can do it. These are the ones you have control of now that you can be doing adjustments, adding keywords immediately to it. So the first thing you're probably going to be asking is then, how do we, I want to make sure I have this. Where to go? Do I have the chat open? So I don't have the chat open. Yo, Jenny, can you see the chat? I just want to see if we had any questions in there real quick. I know I'm parlaying quite a bit. I don't have the chat.
Yes,
right.
there's some chat notes, but it's not like any questions.
Okay, yeah, there's like, believe it or not, there's an AI thing that's in my way. I can't see the chat, so that's not really working terribly well. But these are places that you can work on these sort of things immediately. So your first question is probably going to be, cool, how do I start? That's when you do the audit, okay? Now, we're getting to the part that we're probably familiar with if you guys watched the Tom Ferry piece. This is when you ask AI to analyze how it's searching you. That's essentially what this is doing. So cool. Hey, AI, this is me. I want to search how I show up online. That's all this really says here. So we're going to take this piece in here and we're going to paste it. And I'm going to say, do I have a volunteer? Is there anybody who wants to have this done on them?
I will.
Was that you, Lisa?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, awesome. Let's take a look. Lisa, Heed. Sotheby's International, or do you, I think, probably other than the Heed Group, or do you prefer the Heed Group, do you think?
Probably way more history on the Heed Group. I don't know. Let's
try it. This is part of it. This is where you can do a test. So if you don't know Lisa, so this is her own personal brand, but she's also Lisa is with Sotheby's. So that would be a thing to search as well. You could do this once this way and then also check it on Sotheby's. Maybe that's got some more hit to it and shows up in other places. Because you got to remember, other brands, your brokerage, are going to showcase you in places too. So that might be a little bit of extra exposure. Cool. Again, all pretty copy and paste. We're taking the same simple example that was already shown. I'm keeping it the same so we don't get too far off of what you've already learned. So you notice I haven't done anything special here. I know he went in here and did like a search. You can do some tools. You can use these pieces in here. You'll find that for the most part, it really doesn't even need that to get you started. I've put a list of the things that you're probably going to want to attack right away, but you can get immediate feedback. We start to see some pictures here. Look at this. We got one of the billboard. That's fantastic. Look at that. That showed up. That was when you're at the old brokerage. And then we're given our information here. Okay. So first thing this one is doing. Now, what I want to state for everybody, very important. You're all going to have slightly different versions. And also, depending how many times you do this, it will change its answer. Don't get scared by that. That's why I want you to think about what we're trying to do. It's going to show up slightly differently. Mine might constantly start to do this because I've done this many times before, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be broken down exactly like this. This is just the format we're getting. And that's one of the things you have to learn with AI is that it's essentially giving you the same information, but because there's so many like almost infinite variables on how it can respond to you, that it's always just kind of like cool based on what it's learning in the background. It's kind of like, maybe this is the best answer. And then that's where your feedback will come in. You can give it a tick down here. You can give it a like, don't like. This will be, if you really don't like something it's constantly doing, you say, don't like that, give it some feedback. But we can come up here and we can see that there's a number of pieces that Lisa is actually doing really well in, okay? And so it goes ahead and shows that we're looking at homes.com, Zillow, realtor.com. She's showing up there, consistent key data, Las Vegas, Sotheby's International, which is fantastic. So we already know she's showing up there. Her Zillow profile has good, strong record with 5-star reviews, social media, branded photos, billboards, My Vegas. So see, look at that. It understands that's a billboard. This is what you guys need to realize is really wild about AI. It understands that she has a billboard or had a billboard that showed up. So it's like, that's cool, that's great, that's good stuff. But then it's going, cool, here we go. We're gonna take a look and take a look here. SEO website optimized. The Heed Group website appears basic without SEO. That's a landing page because we made a landing page for her, but we can incorporate that. Summerlin, buy home Summerlin, Las Vegas condo searches. These would be places that you may want to show up. The important part here is that you have to tell it what are the search words you want to show up for. So again, do you want to rank for Summerlin? Do you want to, someone like Lisa may want to show up for certain, wherever she lives. That would be something that you would consider is, okay, cool, it's seeing some of those keywords, but that might not be where I want to rank for. But you see that and realize that those are the keywords it's suggesting. Doesn't have blog information, not really much of a YouTube, a podcast, video walkthroughs, which are things that it's suggesting. Again, that's that social media aspects that we are expanding. And I'm actually working with Lisa and we're working on videos. This is a part, trust me, I know everybody hates videos, but I'll give you a few tips on how to make them easier for you. You start with a YouTube video, cut bites. I know we've all heard this, cut bites, put those out, take the YouTube video, put it in AI as a transcript, make a blog with that. We've heard this a million times, but the proof in the pudding here is that you should be doing this more often or at all if you want to show up better in AI. It's not the only answer. It's just something, it's a tool we have to show up better against competition. And then we're going to take a look. So no prominent GMB listing. That's the Google business profile. That I think it's having a bit of a miss on that. So if you see something you think is probably wrong, because I know that her profile is actually good, I have noticed that sometimes on Google, it's a little hit or miss. So just don't be scared to verify your information. This is what I would say is that part of this list I showed here before, it's going to list a bunch of things that are, these are just some simple ones. It might even list different ones that it thinks you could show up for. You should be going and checking out every one of these profiles. That's why I've got a checklist here. You should be going, if you don't have an account, you should just be making one because we know that the vast majority of agents are landing up in that space. So if it's showing some stuff and it's maybe not even talking about them, or if it's showing them and saying you don't have a good profile, go double check. Be like, cool, does it? Yeah, maybe it's right. I don't have the right search keywords, but I do have 5-star reviews. I'm gonna work on that, but it still missed them. It happens, it does happen, trust me. I've also had AI get wrong many things, simple things too. So you have to, you go, cool, this is what it's being used for, but just verify it and double check everything. And then this is where a piece we were going to talk about is fact pages. So we're going to talk about that a little bit in more. Let's talk about it now. So you'll see this come up quite a bit is fact pages. This is going to be something you'll see in your searches showing up. And a fact page is something that you can set up that is in the form of, it stands for frequently asked questions, okay? A fact page is something that you can set up as a dedicated page on your website that will just run through a bunch of questions and answers that you want to rank for. It's a really easy, readable way for AI to understand who you are. It can help it build a better understanding. So going to your website, making a secondary page. Now you have to do it. It's work. You have to go through. I do have a template set for real estate agents. You got to look at your keywords and make sure these match for you. But super simple things. How do I get pre-approved for a mortgage? If you want that question to maybe show up when someone searches for your name, that's how you show up. Easy. Put in a association, make a FAQ. You have the answer next to it, and just constantly do that. It's basically a rudimentary version of blogs. So a blog will have the same sort of concept, but in that human readable format where it's readable. It's an article. This is an AI readable format. That's what the FAQ really does. So going through and building yourself out an entire FAQ of information, just a bunch of things that you might want to hit, is really good. And we actually have a AI chatbot that will, or not chatbot, well, chatbot and a voice agent that can utilize this as well if you want to have specific stuff. So we have a voice agent that when you call someone and they answer and they talk through, that voice AI agent can reference that FAQ if there's something specific you want to tell them. So, hey, I don't do rentals. That can be in the FAQ. That's how you do it. Does Lisa do rentals? No, she doesn't do rentals. Then the AI agent can answer for that sort of thing. That is a very easy way to add into the FAQ on pieces of information that AI can read instantly. So that's something you're going to see often and is something that we're adding more and more to people across the board. It's a new thing with AI coming up, and it's becoming more and more prevalent. So it's something we're starting to attack more and more from marketing standpoint as well, which means you should probably be looking at that on your own brands as well. So, and then this would be a consistency. You're going to see this a lot. What they want you to do is have a consistent, if you can, name, address, phone number across all of your platforms as best you can. So going through and doing an audit of all your platforms and making sure, again, going through this checklist, cool, am I showing up with the same address, the same phone number, and the same name, business name? Because I know, again, there's a lot of agents. We've all been to Million Brokers. That name changes. And I've gone through this a million times with people in their Google business profile trying to get local service ads where they'll have EXP and they're no longer with EXP. And then you go to Google to say, hey, I want to change it. And they're like, sorry, we can't change that. And you go, I'm not with EXP anymore. That's not my business name. You have to be very careful with that. Don't give too much. Don't expand it too much in one direction because you'll have to just go back and change it. Who are you as a real estate agent? It's you. It's always going to be your book of business. Unless you have your own group, so the HEED group, that would be something that Lisa could use, the HEED group across the board, if she was obviously knowing I'm going to stay the HEED group forever because that's my book of business. But if you're just Damien, you can just be Damien. That's who I am as Damien, the real estate agent, right? If you want to keep it simple, just be careful with extending it to your brokerages. I really want to stress that. I've done it with enough clients that that's a serious problem that comes up. And then you're usually going to get, again, you'll get some what is done good, what is done, what's kind of missing, and then you're going to get some simple tips. Again, the variations are going to change a million different times depending on how you do it in your chatbot. Feel free to actually be doing this as we're doing it and see what it says. Optimize local listings, optimize GMB, build niche landing page strategy, launch video and AI transcripts, leverage voice AI snippets for optimization. This piece here, this is part of the AI integration. So you're gonna see a lot of this, and I know I get questions about this often. It's because it's more in depth, and it's not something that I would say is as important as just kind of going through your brand and slowly starting to tick off. You're gonna get a lot of these like optimization for these AI bots to find out who you are or understand you. It's going to be the second thing you should do. You just have to start with the traditional SEO because Google is also looking at that, and this is using the same thing. So you're gonna kind of kill two birds with one stone when you sit there and make more content, hitting those keywords that are gonna land on each one of these pages. And every one of these pieces is essentially just saying, make sure that those places have the keywords that you wanna rank for. That's really all this is in here. And then the last piece that kind of comes up that you're going to see often is going to be that schema. So I want to talk quickly about that schema while we're kind of getting to the answers. So you're going to see stuff that it's going to be like, hey, incorporate stuff for AI to find you better. That's going to be those facts, okay? It's going to say stuff like, again, here's another AI-powered website, tools like Copilot. You can put things on there. This schema part is this piece here. Let me see, where do I have it? Here. Okay, so this is just a quick test website. There is a piece, this is a piece that a lot of people fail with on blogs too. So writing the article and getting it, hitting the keywords, which people have been doing forever, is half the battle. The other half of the battle, when it comes to writing your blogs, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, but is the schema markup of the backend of the website. Before AI was really more human readable, Google would use it to, would have its own language to talk to the websites to figure out what was on them. Because not only do people lie when they put stuff on their websites, but they also don't necessarily always give it in the right format that Google wants. Added correctly. Let's go ahead and I'll do a quick one so we can say, can you give me a meta tag, keyword meta tag? That's the format it looks like. And this is not, and it's comma delimited, and it just gives you this. And you're going to have on some of these platforms, you can just copy this and you'd be taking that and you'd be pasting that into part of this with the tags. You'd be putting it in here, this sort of thing. Some of these things will have limitations in terms of the number of characters you can do. You can very easily just say, limit this to 150 characters. Okay, limit it to 150 characters. You're going to have plenty of things that'll be like, you can only write 2,000 words. Cool, just limit it to 2,000 words. I just wanted to show you that because that's a tool I use all the time where I'll go to put something in, it'll be like, you've only got 500 characters. Rewrite it, 500 characters. Know that. That's a really helpful feature that AI can do for you. So this is a more advanced part that you're going to come up with in your responses from AI. Don't be scared by that. That's the part that will be, hey, cool, I've gone through and done all the basics. But you want to go back to starting with, nope, it's the wrong one. Here we go, there we go, cool. You want to start with its first suggestions and taking a look. That's where this piece here with your answers, you'll start to see what is showing up as the responses. And you can see down here, your sources. Now, again, we've seen this was showing up. A lot of these are going to be the same for all of you guys, the realtors. That's why I've made a checklist for it. Super simple. How's your Zillow looking? Hey, does your Zillow have all the keywords that you listed out at the beginning of this? No? Cool. Go at them. Does your Redfin? Nope. Does your Realtor.com? Nope. Any of those accounts that you can easily go and go through, find out what it's trying to show here and hit them right away. You don't even have to use the AI to do that. It's just hopefully going to show you up a few extra of the pieces inside of here that would be, more pertinent to do. So we could take a look at some interesting things that would show up in let's say, like this is given an example of a quick start that you could go ahead and do. We've already done that. Yelp. Maybe there's not much of a profile on Yelp for Lisa. We would go check that out. If it isn't set up, I know that Yelp leads are not necessarily great for realtors. They're usually full of crap. I get a lot of clients coming to me about that. Just making a profile, not paying them money, just show up. That's your SEO. Bing Places. This is another one I'm going to talk about briefly here. I've been introduced to it in the last 6 months, and it's not something I've pushed super hard, but I've noticed it showing up more and more in AI. And so it's something that we're starting to talk about.
Seriously?
It's essentially a Google Maps. So you're going to want to check that out. And coming back through here, go through and just double check all the service areas is talking about like your keywords, but these are just what we've talked about. Is it a Q&A? Have you got the FAQ? Have you got all of your information listed on all those places matching? On my Yelp, does it match? My phone number, my address, my name, does my keywords match? Are they the same I want to match for as my brand? I'm a luxury real estate agent and I want to show up in Summerlin for these price points for only these things. That's really all this is saying. It's just a really long-winded way of saying it and going through and doing it individually. I'm going through it a little bit fast. I know we're trying to walk through it, but I'm really trying to create this in your head that this is how this works. This is what this is about. It's just really taking keywords and putting them into each one. So it will give you a whole source of things that you can go ahead and do. That's not the finish. That's just your starting point. But as I said, using these two pieces are going to be huge to get you started up with it. And I'll have it linked up and I'll put it in there for you. You can go through and make sure that those places are just taken care of. Your follow-up thing is going to be actually finding out your keywords if there's anything you haven't possibly searched for. So this is kind of like in the same time, like, cool, what am I showing up for? That's your audit. Like, cool, how do I look to AI? Feel free to go into Grok, feel free to go into any of those. Okay, how do I show up? Awesome. I think I want to hit for these other ones. Maybe check your competition. Okay, how is another person doing? How do they show up in it? Check your competition. What are they showing for? Here's one. Cite sources and explain your thinking process on why you picked them. Just a simple one. Again, you can make this as long as you want. People generally are talking a little bit longer in this sort of stuff. Okay? One thing I want to tell you about, there's probably a lot of these names that you're going to see in here. You're also going to see a lot of things like Zillow showing up, Zillow, Fast Experts. I did this yesterday just to sort of see, give me a ballpark to see what would show up. It was a different list. Okay, it's a different list. Craig was at the top, and I wasn't surprised about that, but he was at the top, and it was slightly changed around. A lot of these names, I've seen this one. You want to know why? You want to know why I'm seeing a lot of these things? A lot of these people are people we all know. They show up in those places that you go, that's my competition. When you look at local service ads, you look at Zillow, and you can take a look at what it's thinking when it's doing it. You will see a number of the people, but it's still going to be, that's why I'm saying you have to like do the search, take a look, cool. Then you can check it individually, try to read between the lines. It's not perfect and it's not verbatim. Never think anything on the internet is verbatim exactly as it is. You just, they're cool. Yeah, that's a good point. Do I have my keywords set up on that platform? Maybe not. This is so prioritized agents, high transaction volume, particularly those industry on RealTrends and HomeLight. HomeLight's another place to be checking out. Verified reviews, Zillow, Fast Expert, Yelp, platforms, consistently across at least 2 credible sources, platform triangulation. So they're saying basically that they showed up in all the places. So that's what this issue. It's just other verbiage of saying the same thing. Showed up multiple places, were the top of their field in that way. The thing you're going to also realize with this is that these people are highest volume people. You don't have to compete with that. That's why you got to start to think about your keyword searching, okay? Because these people are just landing up. Craig Tan, it's just pure volume. If I go to Zillow right now and look at top ranked, he's like #1 or something. It's just so much volume because he's got a huge team. You can't compete with that. Doesn't mean you don't have work. How many of you here are working real estate agents? All of you at Hazard. So clearly there's work for you guys to get. How do you get it? Well, I'm not the big company. I'm this person. I'm this focused keyword. So when you are looking at a search that you're doing like this, maybe looking at competition, taking a look at the top 10, asking it what it's thinking about. It's looking at Zillow. You're going to see a lot of these things coming back through. Maybe it's going to give you some information. It was checking ratings here. It's telling you what part of each one of these it was looking for. All I'd say is any of this means is you just have to show up on those platforms because you can't change your transaction volume. That's the point of this. You can't change that sort of stuff. But you can look at that and go, cool, there's a list of the big people. Cool, how do I show up as the best person in Summerlin? Who's the best real estate agent in? This will change. Trust me. You do it on your side, you probably see this change. Craig Tan. We know that not necessarily the case. He's just showing up at the top. I've already it's something you have to understand with AI. I've already put his name into this. So when you do searches and you do start to do queries, what will happen when you're on a chain? This is very important. When you're on a chain in an AI bot, it's referring back to the previous conversation points you were making in that AI. So be careful with that because that can be beneficial in that it helps you fine tune it, but it also can seriously start to derail the conversation because it's just self-looping back on, oh, they thought this was good value. I'll keep doing it that way. Have you ever tried doing something in AI and you go, hey, make me this thing? And it goes one direction. You go, no, we'll tweak it. And then it's still kind of taking what it did and just keeps kind of looping around. Like you're like, no, start again. And it won't do it. Don't ever be scared to just start a new chat. Just start a new chat. If you're like, cool, I want to do a new test here. Who's the best? Again, I want to do this. It's probably going to show up as Craig, but we'll see. Who are the top 5 realtors in? We'll give a few so we can see some variation. Taking a think. Okay, so he's still showing up there. We have a number of people showing up at the top. These are also still just showing up from those top places, home lights. This is where it's picking it this time, but you have to pay attention. This is the one time it's picking it just from home light. Can you see how that's a kind of a conflict of interest in that if it does a broader search, it's going to pull different data? Whereas if it just focuses on this, it's pulling in individual, it's now decided that's the list that it's going to use for this Summerlin sort of piece. Home light, home light, home light, home light, home light, home light. Other than you have to double check your AI. You can't let it just give you an answer and you go, cool, verbatim. That's it. Cool, I'm done. Walk away. Copy paste. You have to human check it. It's not there yet. Okay, cool. It's taking a look. Now we got Zillow again. Effective agents. We haven't seen this one once. This hasn't shown up once in any of the other searches we've done. So now it's starting to do a search here. But I'm trying to get you to see that you have to double check what it's doing and understand again, I'm trying to get my keywords and I'm trying to show up in all the places it could possibly search for. That's it. That's the goal here. And so you can use it as a tool to do that. Okay. So I'm going to show you one way that we can focus on that specific part of getting those keywords and making sure that we take it into the next phase, which is actually implementing them. So you've probably seen if you were at that last one, answer the public. This is a tool. You can also use Google. If you have Google Ads, there's what's called a keyword planner. Now this one is like $11 a month. This one's probably got it's probably a little more user-friendly, and there's a good reason people talk about this often, or you may have seen it. The Google Keywords is a free one, but you can do a search for what people are looking for. So I'm just going to sign in really quick. When it's ready, let me get this one up. Let me see if I can show you the keyword planner if we're waiting for it. I don't know why it's taking so long. Cool. There you go. Cool. Here's a bunch of searches we've already done. Here's one I did the other day just to show someone else. Sell my house and sell. No. So that's not a huge, there we go. All right. So sell my house if you want to show up for listing people. It gives you the information as long tail keywords, which I'm sure we've heard, we've talked about. We're going to talk about that a little bit more again to explain it. All long tail keywords are doing, same concept, keywords show up somewhere. All it's doing is that when I'm in AI and I ask, sell my house, that's not enough for it to really do it. So when you use Google, you can do sell my house and that's super straightforward. That's all it needs to start selling you what it wants to give you information. But when we're using AI, we have to search more human readable because that's the way it works. So you wouldn't just say sell my house. You would go, how do I sell my house in Summerlin for the best price? Might not be quite as that's a little on the nose for someone to probably hit that, but you'd be surprised. You'd be really surprised how people search. In the era of Google, people were used to, and how many times have you used Google and just been like, best Mexican near me? That's how LSAs work. LSAs on Google work in the realtor near me, lawyer near me. That's all people are typing because they've come used to, that's how Google works. You get the best results if you keep it super dumbed down. AI is the opposite. It wants to be broader because it can really fine tune it and understanding more of what you're looking at. This is where those long tail keywords will come in. So again, you can see the formatting it's given me. This is just mine. Yours is going to look different than this. But if we come back here, you're going to get some understanding. How to sell my house by owner. There's going to be people who search for that. One of the things I do when I'm running ad campaigns for people, for real estate agents, I will make that a negative keyword, which means I don't want to show up for that at all. So you can look at what you don't want to show up for as well as what you want to show for. How sell my house fast. You're probably going to want to put 2 in there to rank for AI, but you can see these are the longer versions of what you are getting. Where can I sell my house fast? It's probably going to shoot out a list of, places that are home buying and cash buying places. But this is where you start to dial in some of the keywords that people are searching for that you can rank for. And you're going to come in here and go, cool, what can I do with this that's going to be based on my list of what I want to rank for. Real luxury. Do I want to rank for selling houses? Do I want to get buyers? Do I want to get listing agents? I mean, there's a million. I had a client who was working on lower percentages. We just do lower percentages. So everything was ranking lower, less commission, all that sort of stuff. And those were the keywords that were being ranked all the time. Okay. So you can really dial in what your brand shows up for. So when you're thinking about that, you want to go and do a search on the keywords that you're like, cool, I want to be luxury. Well, how many people, how many luxury people do they, do people who are buying $2 million houses, do they search for luxury? Or are they looking for luxury properties? Are they typing in luxury realtor? That might be a big difference, because if you hit it dead on, if you get the dead on answer, that's going to show up before the one that's just slightly wrong. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this, and they do talk about it, it gives you a number of formats and ways that you can look at the data. You can take a look, and you can see on this outer ring here, it also gives you how much the search volume is. I will acquiesce that there is a number of pieces here that it's just overwhelming to look at. So you can pull this information out in this format where it's down here and gives you these columns. So we have the columns that might be like, cool, here's sell my house. Yeah, Virginia, I'm looking at these. Value, Las Vegas, sell my house, Las Vegas. It's not doing great on that sort of thing right now. We all know why. Interest rates are pretty hard. You can take this CSV, you can download, and you can put this somewhere, and you can throw that information into Chatbot to analyze it for you. So I'm going to pull up it right now, and I'll walk you through that, because have I got any like serious questions onto where I am now? Is it way over? Okay, nobody's asking questions. Okay, cool. I feel like am I rambling? Is it too complex? I'm trying to dumb it down so it's like, it's not over the top. Yeah, Damien, go ahead.
How is the whole AI mode and AI stuff gonna impact keywords for SEO?
It's in exactly the same importance. It's incredibly important. It's that's all we're talking about. That's all that it is. It's going to affect them in that the simpleness that it used to be, where it would be you could just put real estate agent, sell house, buy house as your keywords. That used to be okay a little bit longer ago. Now it's more focused and geared towards people who are showing up with these longer tail and more detailed and showing up regularly. So nothing's changed with the keywords. They're still hitting that. They're always going to be the reason it searches, because you have to understand that it's a language model. Well, what's a keyword? It's a word. It's part of our language. That's how it identifies what we want. So until it transcends words, it's always going to be keywords on some capacity. Does that sort of answer the question? Do we have a follow-up to that? Well, maybe ask it in a different way. Maybe I didn't answer it quite correctly. How is it going to change how they're used? How the types of them?
Is it still gonna be the same ranking system, or are they gonna put them into like those, what do you call it, large language models, and use a different way for it to come up?
Yeah, they will likely have a change in the future when AI develops its own variation of talking to itself. So I don't know if you guys know this, but AIs can already talk to themselves in a non-human understandable format. There's versions of where they talk to each other and we can't understand what they're saying, which is kind of scary. But they can do that. And so once they start to transcend based on efficiency, the normal model that humans built, which was the sort of like, we would think about something like Google, which had a mapping system where it would line up. It's actually called, there's a name for it. You'll probably come across it inside of it. It's something like a graph map or a something map that you'll probably see in AI when you do a search for yourself. And all that really means is that it has like linking points, like, okay, Damien is a real estate agent, does buying, selling, foreclose, and then it'll be like branching off. It just looks like a mind map sort of thing. When AI transcends that ability to make it more efficient, it will probably change. But for the time being, it's still basing it off of language. And you have to understand that the interface of Google and Bing and the internet as it is in place. And it's actually using a lot of that information as feedback. So when it's searching, it actually is going through the services and using them. So Google, that schema markup I talked about, that's already in place. There's no reason to circumnavigate that because all the websites in the world utilize it. So if they all utilize it, why would AI come up with something that's incompatible with every website in the world? So what we're basically saying is you need to get compatible with the websites the way Google does and play that game keep an eye on it. And if it ever changes and you ever hear, oh yeah, now we've added this new thing to this keywords, that's when you have to really worry about, cool, I have to go through an update. All we're really talking about right now is essentially getting on board with the standard things that are all about SEO. So your keywords still going to be the same keywords. Again, there's nothing about it changed because humans still request stuff in that format. The websites and all the things that are built on it are based around certain ways they need to be implemented. There's no real other way. Again, the only other thing would be something like, again, we see the big one, Zillow. It's a brand showing up that gets a lot of the eyeballs. So it'll be keeping an eye on where the eyeballs go. So if Zillow is no longer the king of the castle, where does it go? You want to play that game. So that's part of what you're doing here is you're trying to find out what AI is looking at. When you're doing that search, the audit part is part of you saying, hey, AI, what are you looking at right now? What are you doing? That's the audit part where you're dialing in. Like, cool, how do I show up? And then part of this piece here is how are you, based on the future of online search, what actions, are you taking? And you can dive into that as deep as you want. I would really recommend from a simplicity state, because I want this to be something actionable, you guys can go off and do this today, is just go play the basic games. Again, focus on something like this list. Show up at those places. Make sure your keywords are there. Make sure your name's showing up there. Even if you're not keywords or you can't, like some of these things you can't necessarily do anything about. Like I'm sure the MLS doesn't have any information that you can change, but there might be, like a little description about who you are. Change it, tweak it, put those keywords in there, make sure that they show up. Whatever, I don't know the interface of every one of these, but you can definitely find out that this is going to be where AI is searching. Chamber of Commerce. It looks at those sort of things. These are things that you wouldn't think about up until you'd be like, oh, maybe I'll do it. Maybe it's not worth it. These things are becoming worth it now. All these little platforms that you have control of to go over and make sure you show up as the way you want, not someone else. You show up the way you want. That's what you're essentially doing. And it's all around keywords. So hopefully that kind of answered it a little bit. I would really just focus on making sure that you are showing up in all of these places. You're getting, what am I trying to do here? You're landing in the places you want to be. And the final piece of it is after you've done yourself, okay? So I'll finish with the keyword thing here in a second. What I was going to do, I'm going to upload that CSV and we're going to look at some variations we can do with that CSV to kind of tweak it to make sure it's actually aligning with our goals. But something that you want to think about is when I do the audit, okay? That's about me, where I show up. I do my audit, I look at me, I look at all the places I can change. That's that first piece of it, all the platforms. The second part that goes to continuing your expansion is social media and blogs, content creation, because you're in charge of it and you're creating it and you're building a place for eyeballs to go. That's all it is. Zillow gets eyeballs. Why? They have so much value. Why? Because they became the first major search to be like that, or they took advantage whenever they did. They're the one that people think of when they go, I want to search for a home. That's it. If someone else came with a better way to do it, buy Zillow, it's now this one, right? It's Google right now. Why? Because it usually gives you the right answers, not Bing. When was the last time you Binged something? And if you do, I'm sure you're probably sad inside. But the point is, you want to be creating your content because that's the next part. Once you've landed and made sure everything is showing up, all the platforms you can change that are hosted by other people, or even like your website, like you can change that now. You want to go to those other places, or you want to start making content so that they can hopefully show up in other places. When you make a viral video, that's all that is doing, is essentially creating eyeballs to look at you and possibly funnel that to you. It's very similar in the way that it is kind of attaching to keywords, in that there not only is language in it, but there's also the visual medium of, you can stimulate people by that medium as well. So it's kind of hyper realized as version of it. But again, taking a YouTube video, cutting bites out of it, and then taking that as a transcript and creating blog and having your videos over here, that's your content creation. That's how you expand into the future. So that's going to be the final piece that we'll talk about that you're going to want to do, and is what you got to kind of do forever. It's you stop doing it, someone else is going to continue and they're going to show up instead of you. So I know there's a little bit of a misnomer when it comes to marketing and like putting yourself out there as an agent. you still have a very large amount of referral is going to be your number one piece where you get business. It's just fact, because that's where the trust is already built from someone who's reaching out to you. But when you go to the next thing, it is search-based and showing up where you are. So when you're making content, you're opening the opportunity to be found more places, okay? You're also, in videos, you're able to build yourself as a personable or trustworthy person based on your reviews. There's I don't know if you guys, any of you have seen that home inspector who sometimes shows up and he's like in Arizona or something, and he just crushes on home builders because he finds everything wrong. He gets more, I guarantee you that guy gets more business. You see his views skyrocket. He gets more business. Why? Because he's made himself trustworthy. Because he goes and calls out people and says, they're trying to dick you. You don't do that. Don't fall for that. And he calls them out, and people love it. They go, here's someone on my side. And you can do that too in any way, shape, and form. Show them a house. Point out the bad things. Your inclination is always to show them the great things. Show them the bad things. Go, this is probably, and when you have that meeting and that tour, you'll talk to them about that, but you can do that in a video. How can you show 40 people instead of one person at a time that you're trustworthy? I went in this house and I said, hey, we can't sell this like this, and we can't, do that sort of stuff. That would be a way to continue your trust and building more potential eyeballs to show up on you. So I've hammered on with the social media and the blog, but that's the big part after this. So that's the second part. Audit yourself, fix all your brand, and then your video is your expansion. What we're going to do is we're going to do a really quick, I'm going to showcase what this looks like. I'm going to open it in Google Sheets. This also works in Excel. It's all the same sort of stuff. This is what you're going to get from something downloadable like the keyword planner in Google Ads, or inside of your, if you have an Answer the Public, you get one free search on there. So you can go ahead and do a quick search right now. Okay, so you're gonna get stuff like this. It's gonna try and break it out and so that you can see some good metrics about it. And the AI, the keyword planner will be something very similar. But what you can do is you can go, cool, let's keep these two here, okay? This is data, what's it, data, there's a word for this. We do the same thing whenever we're doing searches, pay-per-clicks. You come in here and you go, cool, search volume, A to Z, Z to A, Z to A. Let's go there. So we got a bunch of these dead ones up here that it's not ranking for. Delete rows. Cool. Highest ranking things in what I search for right now. And I'll tell you, this number has definitely gone down recently because I've used this many times, this search. This number used to be much bigger. So that's definitely the market. What are the things that are showing? What are they going? So the fast, cash, 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 cash. So we know that those are probably things that people are searching for. It's people who are hurting to sell their house. What does that tell you? Can you help those people? And there's a million things, there's a million ways around that. Like, yeah, they're hurting. Sure, we can get on a political rant. But what can I do? How can I capitalize on those search keywords? And do I want those to be my keywords that I want to be using? Cool. So there's people hurting who want to sell it fast. Can I help them and get them more money? Can I help them and help them get fast cash for their house? Can I explain to them how to get out of that situation? There's millions of ways that you can use these keywords to make an article and a video and show up for them. And that's really all that you're going to be doing in that second half. After again, you'll decide some keywords that are going to show up that are really about your brand, that, hey, I want to be for Summerlin luxury real estate agent. Go ahead and change all your things sooner and later. But this is where you start to really focus on making content, because you can keep hitting this keyword often. And so instead of having just even this list is only limited, there's 20 things here, 24 things. I'm sure you could come up with more that you could probably definitely go to, but it's still going to be a limited amount. You know how many, where is it? You know how many variations on that information you can make? Infinite. You could talk about that infinitely, because you can just reword it. You put selling your house fast, why it's not a good idea, why it's a good idea, what you can do to get out of it, what you can't do to get out of it. That's 4 ways I just talked about that keyword and made a video, made multiple videos, and made multiple blogs. And so that's where you will start with this, and you can take this and you can export this entire thing if you want to, and you can ask yourself and go, cool, and we can take this and we can go in here and we can delete this. And if you aren't sure, you're like, maybe I need a little bit of help with this. I'm going to make that. So I've taken it and I've just put all of these as these keywords. You can just grab them or you can upload it. Let's just, sure, that's a lot for chatbot. Okay, this is giving you a bunch of information that is how you can turn this into what we've already been talking about. SEO, blog posts, landing pages, FAQ information, answering these questions in your FAQ. See, all the stuff we've already talked about, this is all you're doing with these keywords and these long tail versions of this. What we want to do is go, cool, can you and I've asked Google to now give me ideas. So if you're having struggle looking at that information and going, what should I do with it? It's already shown me that it understands that these would be good for blogs and PPC. Cool, ask it, how do you do it? The way I phrase it, that's how people are gonna talk to AI. And this is essentially a long tail version of this. So it'll give you a bunch of things. It can do it in this format. You can ask for it in a million different formats. Need to sell my house fast in Summerlin, Las Vegas. I mean, that's a pretty easy low hanging fruit one. You can take that keyword multiple times. So I'm now telling it a little bit, I'm giving it a little bit of information on what to do. So take that, make me a small description. Let me see if you're on the right page and add that keyword in multiple times. If you're thinking, I need to sell my house fast in Summerlin, you're not alone, whether you're facing relocation, financial stress, just quick hassle-free sale, exactly what we can do fast, sell your house fast in Las Vegas, Summerlin. See, now it's put it in twice. That's going to show up. Well, if someone types that and your article has that word 3 or 4 times, that's going to be better than someone who had it once. So when you are using your keywords, the key is to reiterate them. So you're not trying to put them into, oh, cool, my Zillow profile had real estate, agent, and 2025 once. Try and say, hey, how can I make this multiple keywords, use it over and over, and hammer the point for SEO? Would you like this? Here, look at this. And it's prepped. It already knows what I'm going to ask. Yes. It's going to do this other format, which is it does this with coding and text writing. So it'll give you one and then you can kind of tell it in this verbal pattern how you want it to adjust within the article. So your chat will be over here on the side and it'll give you this option to kind of, it calls this a canvas where you can then do multiple, you can do back. If you like a version, look up at the top right here. There's these variations that you can go back. I want to check my history. I want to go forward. I want to copy it. Once you've made these, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? And you're going to come through here and you're going to take a look and you're going to go, cool, this pretty much meets what I want to do. Okay. So let's say for hypothetically, this was actually one that worked for you. First things I'm going to notice is that this is relatively rudimentary as a blog article. So if you are going to use this as an article, I need to now go back, and this is where we get into the advanced part of it because we've just kind of walked through it. Cool. Identify my keywords, take them, put them in a chatbot, find out what are the things I can make content about, take that content, put it into here, make an SEO blog for me. Cool, you've made it for me. Now I need to do the final piece, which would be install it on the website and then make it pleasurable to read, but also focusing on that schema markup. And there's a few tips that I can give you immediately that you should know about right away. So if we go ahead and copy it, let's see if this is going to work first time. I'm going to make a new piece here. We'll do this. And we'll put a new element. And so this is the first piece I want to talk about. So when you're making a website, depending on how you make it, okay? Now, it doesn't mean that all of you are going to do this, but if some of you are in charge of your websites, there is a difference between headline, subline, and paragraph, other than that they just look different. As far as Google search engines are concerned, they actually have information that says the headline is the #1 thing I need to read that the article is about. So it's very important that you put your headline. If I come in here and I go, cool, that's my headline, I can't just copy paste the whole thing. I have to come and that's my headline. That's the only thing that gets that tag. And so it will be various ways that it does it, like in, where am I? Right, this one. It will be various ways that it does it in different platforms. But right now I have made that a headline and I've told Google and AI that that is what this article is about. If I go in there and I just paste the whole thing, if I pasted this whole thing in here, let's put this over here so I'm working. If I took all of this stuff and just put that in there, it's going to say all this, it's going to be too much of a jumble mess. And so what you're going to have to do is, a lot of these platforms have this, but it's very important that you go through and make sure that there, this piece here, this is just your paragraph text. This is a very simple thing you guys can implement today on your websites that doesn't involve all that metadata stuff in the background, but that will tell the website and everyone searching the website what it's about. That's the headline. That they go, cool, that's a good idea. Then it will start reading these pieces and it will go, understand it. Cool, I understand that they're talking about this. Clearly, it's about this subject. I'm going to make another section and I'm going to come in here, subheading. These sort of subheadings, this one in this particular, are any range from H2 to H5. Now, this nomenclature, you don't really need to know as long as it's not H1 or heading. That's the #1 at the top. Everything else should be 2 through 5 if it's a subheading in this capacity. So this one here, understand the Summerlin market? That's not the title. That's just a subheading. So I can make that anything H2 down. Oh, I accidentally copied it. Copied this, and we're going to go like this, and we go there. That's the subheading. And that is how also Google will read it and come along and go, oh, here's another subtopic. It's not going to treat it the same priority as the headline, but it will treat it with, oh, there's some other thing. So if someone searches for this and it's not coming up as a lot of keywords in some other platform, this piece here will show up on your website as heading #2. Oh, maybe they dive into it. It will read the paragraph and be like, yeah, that's probably one of the best answers I could give to the person searching. So formatting your website is an important step that you can do or think about when you are making your blogs, okay? Just making a blog and copy pasting, I come to a lot of web pages and it's dead set it'll just be, you know, they've come up and I see companies people who are paying for like expensive IDX websites, luxury presence brands, there's huge brands that they're using, they're paying a lot of money for, and they come in and they're making a blog and they're going like that. And then they're going, well, it shouldn't be formatted like that. Maybe I'll just, you know, I'll put it over, I'll do, oh, here it is. It's over here. I'll do, where's the left justified on this thing? Oh, there we go. Left justified. Yeah, and then maybe I'll just take this and I'll make this bold right here. And this one, I'll just make this like, and this one, this platform doesn't even let you do it because it's the wrong thing to do. So in some, you can just bold that right there. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I'll make that bold and I'll put an enter here. And there you go. That's my heading. Don't do that. That doesn't work. It works. It's just there's people who are doing it the right way and they're just going to crush you. So that's what you get when you pay for someone to do your blogs and all that. They go through and you copy and paste and that. So what am I getting at here? It's you probably don't want to do any of this, and that blogging sounds like a lot of work. It probably is more than you're going to want to do, but if you're going to do it right and just do one instead of 15, just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. You can't be too regurgitative. You have to make sure you also go through and read it, make sure it's not like really off board, like you believe it a little bit. It actually, there's plenty of times I've come in and I've read stuff from Chatbot and I said this at the beginning, it's wrong. It's just, and it happens on all of them. They're just kind of pulling data. All they have is the information out there and they're pulling it. What do we know about misinformation in the internet? Prevalent. So just be really careful and mindful when you're making your blogs, and at least put in the effort to make the heading there, at least try to make your subheadings what they are, and then your paragraphs all separate. So I know that sounds like a pain in the ass, but each one of these, all you got to do is make a subheading. And like this platform here, for instance, you can take this and I can copy this, and then I can move it and I can put it down here. And now there's, well, I've got this one. So there's the subheading, here it is, and I just copy paste it. I can copy it again and copy it again, right? And then I can copy this one. So depending on your platform, I think WordPress works a lot like this. You can just paste it in between. It's being a little finicky, you know, that would be my second subheading. This would be the paragraph for it. And at least do that. You don't have to make it visually beautiful. People, if they're gonna read it, they're probably interested in it. There's definitely a time and a place to come in here and make pictures. Put in pictures. So when I add a picture, here's an easy thing that you should know about, and this comes back to the schema markup. If I come in here and I add a picture and I have this in here, this picture itself has information right here, alt text for SEO. A lot of people don't know this, that when you put a picture on your website, if it doesn't say what it is, Google generally just disregards it. So if you have a picture of yourself, what does that picture say? That'll say your name. That should say your name, real estate agent. Because then when you search the picture, it will show up for you. You will show up at least for your brand every single time. If you have a picture of a house, luxury house in Thingo, first-time home buyer's house in Summerlin. Those are keywords you can add to that picture. And so each one of those pictures you can also now rank for. So when you're asking AI or Google for a thing related to that as a picture, hey, I want these sort of things, or can you show me people who work with this? It's going to reference that information. So I'm not going to dive much deeper into the schema thing that I talked about earlier, which is the SEO metadata piece here. That's a little bit more in depth, probably something you're not going to want to dive too far into. It's generally pretty straightforward. You can come in here, you put your title in just like you would do. You put descriptions. You want to hit those keywords as often as possible. You want to put that. I showed you how to kind of make a meta tag. You can ask chatbot, how do I make a meta tag for my SEO on my website? That's what you do. But you really, the simplest thing you can definitely do that's going to give you leaps and bounds on your blog if you decide to do it yourself is this. Just formatting it correctly so that everything understands it, what it's being received. Okay? So this is essentially what this piece of document has. It has all this information kind of reiterated. Hopefully most of this will be retained, and I've tried to make it as simple as possible. You can see how vast the topics are. You can go a million miles every one of them. Just start with your brand, work on a couple platforms, work on a website, make a FAQ, work on, don't do the blog thing, don't make content, just focus on your brand, try to get it synced up with what you want to have it up. And you can take a look at this, and if you have questions about the deeper stuff, you can dive into that deeper. I've also, again, got the FAQ template, which is a super easy way. That's the format that you're going to make on your website. Just make that, answer those questions, ask chatbot how to answer them appropriately, but say you want to add keywords into it. How can I add keywords into this question here on my website so that it rates me higher as seen by SEO, by AI? And when you're done, come back into chatbot and tell it, say, hey guys, I would like to search my website now. I have a FAQ. Can you see that my FAQ is actually readable by you? Is it formatted correctly for you to pull information? It's going to say yes or no, and it'll tell you what's wrong. So this is what you're testing, and then you get AI and you go, hey guys, what's up? Okay. I think I'm going to slow down there because I've hit just about everything broad stroke, but also enough detail. So hopefully it's a little bit more, actionable, and you can do it. Like I said, I'm going to give you these 3 pieces here. I'll give you this as a quick way to go through and check all of them. And this is just another guide on what I've talked about here. While we're here and I have the screen share open, I know it's getting long. People are probably bored and over it. Do we have any further questions? Jenny, if a realtor doesn't have the time to create these blogs, is there a service to provide? Yes, we do provide all of these services. It is, as you can see, it can be kind of time consuming, but it can have benefits down the road. One of the things we also do is we work with people to slowly implement them over time. So it's not all at once, because if that was all to be done at once and go through all of your platforms, it would be just a bunch of time that you have to take, and it's going to be expensive. But yes, we definitely have. If you want to have a consultation, I'm going to send an email after this. We can talk about it. If you want to talk about services, I'll do that for free anytime. But if you just want to actually do something, I have a $75 consultation where we can actually just go and do some stuff, look at your website, make it better, do some stuff for an hour. That's also available if you want to talk more about that. That's probably where I'd start to see if you want to get anything particularly specific up and running because every one of these is kind of unique to you as a person. So let me ask the following question. Do you guys have anything on these items here that we kind of talked about or anything else right here? Those guys. Anybody have any questions? Or are we just over it? And it's almost